Nick, we've had an intense discussion about the issues around selling a business. There are lots of factors to consider, but you've made the point that sometimes it's not as simple as a transaction that's over and done with. There are deferred transactions and other complexities that maybe vendors need to think about a bit more nowadays than they may have done in the past.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think the economic climate is such that buyers are unwilling to pay a lump sum or all of the consideration on day one, and therefore typically now we're seeing most transactions involve deferred consideration where part of the sale proceeds are payable over a period of time, anywhere between 1 and 3 years typically, can stretch longer, and also lots of times that consideration is conditional upon performance of the business afterwards, might be turnover, might be profit, any kind of multiples, and often based on the projections and forecasts that the vendor has put to the buyer in the first place as part of the sales process. So I think it's important for sellers to think about both a sale date and an exit date. The other relevant factor is, of course, that often buyers want a vendor, particularly if the business is reliant on that vendor or those vendors, to hang around for a period on an employed or a consultancy basis afterwards to make sure there's a smooth transition. And to be fair, if a vendor has got an element of the consideration that's tied up in some sort of earn-out or deferred consideration, they often want that too, to kind of make sure they achieve the successful realisation of all of the sale proceeds that they expect.
What are the particular pitfalls potentially for a vendor given that kind of structure that you've described?
I think two things. The obvious one is they might not receive all of the consideration, so it's going to be out of their control. You can build in provisions to the documentation to protect vendors, but it's often very difficult to manage in practice. The other big thing, more of an emotional one really, it's difficult for people, owner-managers in particular, who have run and been involved in their own business and made all the decisions, to then be subservient to a new owner, possibly a foreign owner with different approaches, different desires for the business, and therefore the whole motivational drive, enthusiasm is sometimes not the same. So buyers don't necessarily want vendors to do the same thing they've always done.